welcome to another episode of the Cozy Cottage Crochet Podcast. My name is Hannah, and this is episode 21. I am coming to you, as always, from St. Petersburg, Florida, in the United States, where I live. You can find me pretty much everywhere on the interwebs as the Cozy Cottage Crochet, although I am most active on Instagram. And on Ravelry, I could not be the Cozy Cottage Crochet. I just had to be the Cozy Cottage because it turns out there's a character limit on usernames. So if you're looking for me on Ravelry, check out the Cozy Cottage. If you have any inquiries specifically about this podcast, questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, please shoot me an email. That is the only way to absolutely guarantee that I will see your message and get back to you. I have an email address set up specifically for this podcast. It is thecozycottagecrochet@gmail.com. Hello, how are you? I can't believe it's episode 21. It's the end of January. If you are a returning viewer, I'm so happy you're here. You know I love you always. And if you are a new subscriber, I'm so glad you've decided to spend some crafty time with me, and I hope you like what you see. Before we jump into any of the yarny bits, I do have a giveaway winner to announce. Last episode, Even Gaze donated a lovely crochet pattern that she just came out with for a wrap, and I had you all comment down below on my last YouTube video, and I have selected a winner this morning right before I started recording. So the winner of this prize is NICOLE HAUGEN. I'm so sorry if I'm saying that incorrectly. It could be Haugen or Hagen. I'm going to put it down below on the bottom of the screen. Her comment said, "My crafty resolution this year is to make some real progress on my me-made wardrobe. I am really trying to base my makes on creating a cohesive and wearable wardrobe," which I think is a fantastic crafty resolution. I personally, my crafty word of the year for 2018 is cardigan. I want to make things that I can wear, and maybe I do love making shawls, as you all know. However, I kind of need to lay off a little bit because I'm getting a whole lot of them. So I want to make things that I can wear other than shawls, and I also want to sew some skirts. So a me-made wardrobe, right up my alley. So congratulations, NICOLE. Please shoot me an email at thecozycottagecrochet@gmail.com, and I will get you in touch with Even Gaze, who can give you this awesome pattern. First up, before I show you my finished objects, let's talk about what am I wearing? As you can see, I am wearing a shawl that I have completed. This is the Maritime Stripes shawl by Stephanie Bold. It is a Tunisian crochet pattern. I made it. It was my second Tunisian crochet pattern that I worked on. Finished this last year. This is what it looks like. And I actually did not wear this for quite a while because it is highly asymmetrical. And I'm not a super OCD person. However, I really did not think that I would like this extra long piece just like hanging out over here. However, I took this with me on a trip, and it was the only one that I had to wear, and I was very cold. So it's perfect. I've decided it doesn't bother me at all to have this tail, and if it does bother me on some days, I can just simply tuck it up underneath and pull this down on top, and then no one can tell. It's still not quite asymmetrical. Not quite asymmetrical. It's not quite symmetrical when it's done like that, but I've decided it doesn't really bother me. So it's super soft. I made this out of, what is that yarn from Michael's that is like a fingering weight? Wool-like. Okay, this is Loops and Threads wool-like yarn. I believe in the colorway mauve or maroon and blue. It took about a ball and a little bit of each one. So you will need 4 balls of that yarn to make this shawl. However, that yarn is usually only $3 at Michael's, and if you get it with a coupon, it will be even less expensive than that. So I'm really happy with this. It's super cozy and warm, and I have a special spot in my heart for this because it looks like knitting, but it's not. It's Tunisian crochet. Oh, you can see right there. This is where I dropped a stitch and I had a giant hole and I had to sew it up because there's no way I was gonna frog like 50 rows. That's what I now like to call a design element. That's what I'm wearing this week. I do have some crochet to talk about though. I have only been working on 3 projects. I say only, like that's not enough. I have been working on 3 projects and 2 of them are finished. The first one I can't show you, and I hinted about this last week because it is my second Fringe Benefits poncho by Simone Francis, and this is her pattern. Now this is made in a chunky weight Stylecraft yarn. I made mine in worsted weight. Oh God, my brain today, you guys. I made mine in worsted weight Vanna's Choice. So I made it striped, and I talked at length about this poncho last week. It is finished and it has been mailed off to its owner who loves it. So I'm going to insert some pictures here. This poncho took 7 balls of the Vanna's Choice yarn, so I had, actually it might have taken 8 because I had all the colors and then I pulled out a couple colors from my stash, but it took 4 balls of the oatmeal color, which is the cream on the neckline and the border and fringe. The fringe takes a lot of yarn, just so you know. So it was actually very simple because I was wondering, how am I going to make this fringe? In the pattern, because this is a pattern from Simply Crochet magazine, although you can get this on Ravelry by itself, it is called the cowl necked poncho on Ravelry. She says in the pattern to make the fringe, just wrap the yarn around so many times a Simply Crochet magazine, and that will give you the perfect length for your fringe. And I thought that was ingenious. So I did that, and I got about halfway through the fringe, and then I wrapped another ball and got the rest of the way. And all the fringe turned out the same length, and it was super simple to do it that way. So I was a little concerned about the fringe because it sounded a little tedious, and it did take quite a while to add all of the fringe, especially because I was doing it in worsted weight yarn, so I needed more of it than I would have needed in the bulky weight yarn. But I had a great time. I just put on like Food Network and then I made fringe on the poncho. So that poncho, I mean, I've said this before, I never considered myself a poncho person, but making the purple poncho and making this most recent one to be mailed off to Virginia for my cousin and my aunt, it really has made me kind of want to make one for myself. I don't know when I would wear it because it's too hot in Florida. Although if it's 80 degrees outside or 90 degrees outside, it's probably 70 in the house or in any business that you go into. We crank our air conditioning like through the roof. So I generally do have to take a jacket with me. I don't know if I want to take a poncho around with me, but I'm thinking maybe when it gets cooler again in the fall, I may make one of these for myself because it's such a simple pattern, but it's so elegant. I love the neckline, and I tried them both on, obviously, because there's a picture of me wearing it, and I think they're fabulous. So if you are a poncho person, you need this pattern. If you are not a poncho person, I still think you should make this pattern because I did not think I was, and I've made 2 of them now, and I have nothing but positive things to say about this pattern. It's fabulous. And the Vanna's Choice yarn, so the first poncho, the purple one I made in Karen Simply Soft, which is a really soft acrylic, and it washes up beautifully. It's super drapey. That one had no fringe. The Vanna's Choice poncho, I was actually a little worried about because I've used Vanna's Choice plenty of times for other projects, and when I wash and dry it, it always is super soft when it comes out. I put this through the washer and the dryer, and it was stiff as a board. And I was like, what is going on? I don't understand. So then I put it back in the dryer, came out, still stiff. And it's not like I was using a super tight hook. Maybe it was all the color changes, I don't know. So I was like, oh no, this isn't gonna work. I spent all this time on a poncho and it's not gonna be soft at all. So I got out my blocking mats and I steamed it. Now, if you steam acrylic, that sets the shape so it will never be another shape. You essentially kill the acrylic, so it stays like that forever. I steamed it really a lot. Like I went through 2 full irons of water. And it still was not very soft. But I was like, okay, I steamed it, I put it back in the dryer. And when it came out of the dryer that time, it was just like the Vanish Choice I know and love. Super soft, super drapey, had wonderful like flow to it. And I did all of that before I added the fringe, because what you don't want to do is add fringe and put it in the dryer. Your yarn will get tangled, it will come unraveled, and it will look horrendous. So if you are adding fringe to something, please block, if you're putting it in the washer and the dryer, do that first before you add your fringe. Otherwise you will be very sad when it comes out of the dryer. Now the fringe on that poncho means that it needs to be hand washed or washed on a very delicate cycle in a laundry bag. So I think that's fine because I already blocked and washed it and it's perfect. And how dirty does a poncho really get? It's kind of like a jacket. You only wash those every once in a while. And then it will need to be laid flat to dry. But because the acrylic has been steam blocked, it's never gonna go back to being stiff. It's never gonna shrink. It's always gonna be that same size. So I had a minor heart attack on that poncho, but resolved it, steam iron to the rescue. And it was so comfortable. Oh my gosh. I was happy to send it to my aunt because I know she loves it. However, I was a little sad to let it go because it turned out so much better than I could have ever imagined. That's finished object number 1. Let's move on to finished object number 2 now. This is a project that I showed you briefly last time and that I have been working on for the One Skein Wonderland Cal, which is being hosted by Charlie from the Love Charlie Crochet podcast, and Faye, hi Faye, of the Crochet Circle podcast. They're both in the UK and they actually live really close to each other, and so they get to hang out, which I'm super jealous of. But I have been working on the One Skein Wonderland project. I have not posted any pictures of it really, at least in its completed form. And I haven't posted a page on Ravelry, but it is done and I'm gonna show you. First, let me show you the yarn, which I think is perfect for the One Skein Wonderland Cal because it's Wonderland yarns, y'all. So this is the colorway Pigments of the Imagination, which is 512 yards for 4 ounces. Last time I said it was 512 yards for 100 grams, which that would have been 3.5 ounces. So this should be 115 grams. Someone pointed that out to me, and thank you, because obviously math is not my strong suit. So this is the colorway Pigments of the Imagination. I was designing a One Skein fingering weight project with this yarn. And this is how much I have left. So I need to weigh this. I think this is at least 15 grams, which to me means if you have a 100-gram skein, you could totally make this project. This yarn was such a joy to work with. It is the most beautiful rainbow. It is 100% merino, superwash. This yarn was so graciously gifted to me by Lacey of the Hooked on Owls podcast, which I talked about at length last time. And y'all need to go watch her podcast. But this yarn is so beautiful. Let me show you this finished object. One Skein project. It's showing up on the screen more red than it is. I know it's really hard for a camera to pick up red. This is more of a hot pink than a red. There's very little actual red in this. It's quite long. It is a symmetrical triangle scarf. Let me take this off so I can show you what it looks like. It has a lace pattern. At certain points. So it's got a lace pattern here, here, then in the middle, and then it repeats. So you start from one end, you increase, you get to the middle, and then you start decreasing. So you have the same number of rows. I may have blocked this slightly too aggressively. This is wool, so I mean, I can shrink it back down a little bit if I want to. But it's a little more stretched out than I think it needs to be. But I was really going for a lace look with this fingering weight yarn. And I just love it. I've worn this twice already. It's super, super light because it's so lacy. It lets air breathe. And what I was going for was a Florida shawl. Something I could wear even in the summer. And I think that I could wear this in the summer because it's so thin. And I mean, for one skein of yarn, I think this is a lot of fabric. I used a bigger crochet hook, and that's how I got this. I am working on a pattern for this, so I have the pattern written up. However, there's a couple of things I need to tweak. One of them being I did a chain 2 at the end of every row, and maybe it's the way I crochet. I just prefer a chain 2, but it's a little tight on this. Like the edge is a little tighter than I want to be, so I'm changing that to a chain 3 as to count for a double crochet. And then I am going to be remaking this in a solid color so that you can see the actual pattern better, because although this yarn is amazing and it's so wonderful, it's a little bit difficult to see the lace pattern on this shawl because of the busy color. So I'm going to be making it in a solid, and I'm going to be making it in a worsted weight yarn. Now it won't be a one skein project in worsted weight yarn. However, this is a pattern you could make in any weight of yarn. If you wanted a super big, chunky shawl, if you wanted a super big, chunky shawl, you could totally make this out of chunky yarn. Worsted yarn, it's going to be bigger, of course. Fingering weight, I'm going to use the same hook size. And then I think that I wrote the pattern up correctly, but I need to remake it because when I was handwriting my notes on this, I was writing down like row 6, row 7, and somehow I jumped from like row 80 to row 100 in my notes. So I went back and I think I worked out all the correct row counts, but I'm not really sure if that's true. So I need to remake it because I don't know what happened. I just skipped like 20 rows in my brain when I was writing something down. And I didn't skip any actual rows in the pattern. I just skipped the numbers. So now I'm slightly confused. So I'm gonna remake it. Then I'm gonna make it beautiful in a pattern template. Then it will be tested, and then I will make it available. So I don't know when this is gonna happen. Maybe another month or two. This pattern will be released. But that is one of my crafty goals for 2018, is to write some patterns. And I'm trying to get this one finished before I start on another one. I have currently 2 ideas, both for additional shawls in my head that I would really like to make, but I refuse to start them until this one's done. I'm trying not to be the person that starts 50 projects and never completes any of them, because the tedious part, the pattern writing, I don't want to do, which I want to do it. I want to release the pattern. So this pattern, actually, I didn't have in my mind originally. And I just picked up this yarn and started crocheting. That's all I did. I picked up the yarn, I picked up a hook, and I started crocheting, and this is what came out. I did not even frog a single row of this. As soon as I started crocheting, I was like, oh, I know what I'm gonna do. That doesn't normally happen to me. Normally I have to think about things for a long time. So I'm thrilled with this. I'm very happy. And hopefully you guys will be happy too when I finally get the pattern written. We'll see. That's finished object number 2, and the last finished object. So I finished a poncho, I finished this shawl, and there's one other crochet pattern that I've been working on. This is a commission. It is living in my Santa snowman bag that Ella from the No Catchy Name Crochet Talk channel sent me. She made this herself, and I had her yarn in it. That's one of the things I want to write a pattern for, is her yarn, but I'm obviously not going to be starting that right away, and I really wanted to use this bag, so I took that out and put something else in. And just so you guys know, I know I talk about these project bags that people have sent me, and I don't in any way want you to think that like I'm fishing for people to send me things. Let me tell you why something like this is so special to me. Every time I use it, I think about the person that sent it to me and I say a prayer. So for example, I've been using this all week and I think about her every time I pull it out because she so graciously gifted this to me and it's so lovely and it just reminds me of her. So when I use the bag Crochet Cake sent me, or Claudia Crochet Luna, or the bag that Rebecca from Tree Frog Yard sent me, or even Barb made it possible for me to buy a ball winder, and I used it last night to wind these cakes of the leftover Karen. And every time I think about the person that sent it to me or made it possible for me to do something, I think about them and I say a prayer for them, and it's just really special. So if you've sent me something, please know, even if you haven't seen it on the podcast because it's holding a whip or it's hibernating somewhere, I do use those things and I really do appreciate it. Like, you make my day. So Ella, thank you so much for making me this bag. I think it is never too early for Christmas. Christmas all year round is what I say. Oh, here's another cake. I was trying to pull out what the project that was in here. So I have, apparently this got unraveled. I have these two cakes. This is Karen Simply Soft. There's my project. And then there's one more cake. So what I am making is if you guys have seen the Turtle Beach crochet blanket pattern, it is where it goes from sand into water, into darker water, and it's a ripple stitch, and then it has little turtles sewn onto it. I am making as a commission for someone, for his wife, for Valentine's Day, a scarf version. And I finished the scarf last night. Now I don't have the turtles done and I have to weave my ends in still, but, well, I weaved some of them in. But this is what it looks like. So here we've got the sand section going into light blue, and then it fades into the sea blue. So it's about 6 feet long. I'm really happy with it. I think she's gonna love it too. I have to block it because my gauge got really tight at one point for no apparent reason. Maybe I was stressed out or something. But it needs to be a little bit wider and the ripple needs to be slightly more pronounced. So I'm gonna steam block this so that it sets it, then I'm gonna wash and dry it, and then I am going to I still have to make all the turtles, and apply the turtles. I probably this will be gone by the time I podcast next, because Valentine's Day is coming up, you guys. I don't know where this year is going already. So I've got to do that. This is a really simple ripple stitch. I know that the official turtle pattern, the main picture that floats around the internet for it, that pattern is a paid for pattern. And it's really expensive, or at least it used to be like $10. And I heard a lot of people complaining about the pattern itself, that there were a lot of mistakes and things like that. I believe the price has been dropped and the typos and things like that have been fixed. I decided I did not need a pattern to make a ripple stitch that looks like waves. So I just made this up myself. Simple ripple stitch, and then I will be making the turtles. Now, the turtles, I think I'm going to hot glue on. Hot glue on yarn holds like you would not believe. Like, unless you are ripping it off, it's going to stay. And that is why this needs to be washed prior to me adding the turtles. Because I could sew them, but then I really don't want green yarn to poke through the other side of this scarf. I want it to be completely reversible. So I'm going to be hot gluing, which is fine. I like hot gluing. I hot glued the football pillow that I made right just before Christmas. All the laces on that were hot glued on, and they're not coming off. Like, hot glue is pretty powerful stuff on yarn. You just need to be careful that you don't melt your yarn. So use it gently, okay? So this is fun. I hopefully will have this done within the next week. I'm gonna weave in all the ends and try to block it today. and then start making turtles. It's gonna have, I think the Turtle Beach pattern actually has like maybe 4 or 5 turtles, but I want to make like 10 turtles and have them spaced out around the whole scarf, because really the turtles are the coolest part. Like, no, I mean, the idea of a beach, like sand into the sea, that's cool, but the turtles are the coolest part, right? Right. So that is all the crochet. I did work very slightly on the sock, but as I predicted last time, because the heel is coming up, it is no longer mindless knitting. I have to concentrate, and so therefore I did not pick it up. I have worked on this only for one night, and that's where I was last time. So I've done about, I don't know, 10 rows maybe. So not a great amount of progress to show on that. I feel like once I turn the heel and it's just straight stockinette again, then I'll be happier. I worked on it a little bit on Friday night because I had been crocheting on that scarf for several hours and my hands were just needed a break. But that's not all the crafting that I have to show you. So in my episode 2 weeks ago, I talked about my crafty resolutions, which one of them was to learn how to sew a project bag and to learn how to sew a skirt. I have been sewing. I know, crazy. So I pulled out my mom's old sewing machine. I used it to make a bag. It was such a fight. That bag should have taken me maybe an hour, maybe. And it took like all afternoon because the sewing machine, the bobbin winder was stuck and the clutch was stuck and it will only go in a straight line and the back stitch would not work. But I managed to make the bag. And then that was on Monday, a couple days after I recorded. And then Friday that week, I have Fridays off now. I literally spent hours taking the sewing machine apart, oiling it, testing it, putting it back together, trying to sew something, turning it off, taking it apart, oiling new places, because I don't have an owner's manual and I cannot find one online. So all of the places that need oil are very difficult to find. And some of them needed oiling more than once because the machine is so old. That machine is like 40 years old. It is made of pretty much solid metal. It is very heavy. I feel like I would not have been able to fix a new sewing machine because those are mostly made of plastic, and I'm assuming they're not quite as intuitive because that's such an old, simpler machine. It was easy for me to take the top off, take the sides off, flip it upside down, and tinker around until I found something that looked like. Now, there's probably places in that machine that have oil that shouldn't, but I think for the most part, I managed to do it. The first thing I managed to fix was the back stitch. There was a piece inside the machine that had come loose, so it wasn't working. The clutch on the machine, which is what you have to loosen so that the machine will wind a bobbin and not move the needle up and down, that took like an hour to fix. And it was so stuck that it took like 3 times of oiling it and moving it around and testing it. And at one point, when I tried to turn it, like little metal shavings were coming out of the machine. Like it was making a horrible grinding noise. But luckily I didn't harm anything too much, and that part is now working. And it will now go backwards and forwards. And I fixed the bobbin and I gave it a good cleaning. The amount of dust. Oh, I should have worn a mask while cleaning that machine. I was basically like vacuuming it out. It's still not 100% because I can only get it to go in a straight line. It will only do the regular stitch. It will not do a zigzag or any other kind of stitch. And it has the ability to do like 6 or 7 different stitches. I'm gonna try and see if I can fix that, although that's probably gonna be another couple hours. I don't know if it's gonna be possible without getting the machine serviced, which is gonna be over $100, which is a lot of money. So if I can't fix it to where it will do like a zigzag stitch, for example, then I will never be able to work with knit material because you can't just sew knits in a straight line because knit stretches and that stitch does not. So a zigzag is what helps knits stretch, and it is what will cover your ends if you're working with cotton so that the whole thing doesn't unravel. So I don't know, that's gonna be quite an undertaking. I hope that I can get it fixed. if I can't, I don't know that I want to get the machine serviced, because I could buy a new machine, a very simple, you know, a very simple, cheap machine, I'm sure, for slightly more money than that. I may look on like Let Go or Craigslist or something to see if anyone has one that they may be getting rid of. And I'm not saying the machine doesn't need servicing. I just don't know that I have $130 to $150 to spend on that right now. So I'm gonna try and fix it, and if I can't, then my dreams of sewing knitted items. Did that make any sense? My dreams of sewing knitwear? You guys know what I mean. Using knit material to sew things such as a skirt or a shirt will go down the toilet until I can get another machine or get it serviced. But what I can do is show you what I've made. This is the very first thing that I made. Well, it's not the very first thing. I had some scrap fabric and I just did a bunch of stitches while I was testing the machine out. I made this watermelon bag. This is the cutest. I showed you guys this fabric last time. It's watermelon on the outside, red on the inside, and it has a drawstring. This is a free online pattern tutorial for a flat-bottomed drawstring bag. It is put out by Kristen Omdahl, and I'll put the link down in the down bar so that if you want to make one of these, you can. I found her pattern very simple, and my seams are pretty wonky on this. Like, most of them are not in a straight line. But the magic of this bag is that most of the seams are completely hidden. So it doesn't matter if they're not in a straight line. Like, you can see, I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see this, but right here, that is like all over the place. But when I got to the top, like here, that's pretty good. So I was happy with that. This was made when the machine's backstitch was not working. So while most of the seams are hidden, so I'm not worried about them, these on the edges of the drawstring casing, I'm afraid they're going to come out. So I may have to get some fabric glue and just tack it down a little bit, because unsecured stitches tend to unravel and go away. So I am really happy with this bag. Maybe I wouldn't be so happy with it if it didn't have watermelons on it. So I love it. That's bag number 1. But wait, there's more. I made a bag number 2 using the same pattern with fabric that Charlie from the Love Charlie podcast so generously gifted me for Christmas. Oh, it's rumpled. I used the same pattern, so it is a fat bottom bag. It will, now this is not interfaced, so it's very crumply. It will not stand up unless there's yarn in it. She sent me 2 fat quarters, one with this Christmas tree fabric and one with this reindeer. And so I didn't have quite enough to make like the outside one and the inside the other. So I switched it. I did some piecemealing. So on the outside I've got green and reindeer. On the inside, I don't know how I'm gonna show this. I've got reindeer and then green. It's the exact opposite of the outside. So I'm pretty proud of myself for that. And instead of a drawstring, I added a zipper. Now, I do not have a zipper foot for the machine. In fact, I don't have anything except the foot that it came with. So I very gently stitched this zipper on, and I still managed to break a needle. But it's okay, because I had replaced the needle on it anyway, so I had a few extras. The zipper is not quite, like, it opens and closes, but it's not quite lined up properly. So it's a little lopsided. Like, this is the side seam right here, and this should be over here. So it's workable. It gets stuck a little bit when you first try to close it, and then once it starts to go, it works better. So my stitching is way better on this. I don't know how well you can see this stitching, but that is what I call a straight line. So I'm really excited about this bag, and the fabric is beautiful. Oh, that's bag number 2. Yesterday, which was Friday, I've decided Friday is the day I'm going to sew because that's the day I have off and I'm home. I attempted to make, I don't even know what this is. It's just like a little, it's almost like a doll blanket, except I don't have any dolls. It's just like little squares sewn together. So all of these squares are individually sewn together, and I was just trying to practice my seams. You can clearly see that these are not lined up properly. So like here, that's way lower than it should be because I was not sewing them all the same distance apart. And it's just red on the back. So I don't know. I don't have a clue what I'm going to do with this. I like it because it's pink, but it's really too small to do anything else with. So I don't know what. It was just practice. But what I did yesterday was I made an elastic skirt. I got fabric on sale at Joann's. This was about $3 a yard because it was on clearance. And then I used a coupon. So I think I spent $4 for 2 yards of this fabric. It's just blue, light blue polka dot. And I don't love it, but I did not, this is the fabric I bought to make an actual skirt with. Star Wars! I did not want to make my first skirt on this fabric because I was afraid I was gonna mess it up. And guess what I did? So I used a simple elastic waist skirt pattern that I found online, and it's supposed to gather in and then kind of be ruffly. And I thought that I would like that. So I made the whole skirt and I added pockets and everything. And I really did not like how it looked on me. The length of the skirt was okay, but the way the ruffles gathered made me feel like I'm a normal person, and then poof. I tried it on. First I tried it on and my elastic was way too long. So then I spent some time fiddling around with the elastic after I had sewed it closed. So I had to unpick the waistband so that I could redo the elastic. So I spent some time with that, and then I couldn't deal with how, I knew I was never going to wear it. So I cut off part of the skirt. This is how much fabric I cut off, including, this is the whole side seam. This is the pocket. So with that, I then cut out another pocket out of the material and sewed it together. And this is the new side seam. And you can tell because right here is where I had to sew the waistband closed, because the part that I had cut off was the part where I fed the elastic through. I should have cut off the other side. So this is the skirt. Let me scoot back so it doesn't blow out the camera. Just a simple blue polka dot. It's very slightly ruffled because of the elastic, but not so much that it bothers me. I still don't like love it, but I would actually wear this. This is something I would wear. And it has pockets, which is always a bonus. So, I don't know, maybe elastic waist skirts are not really for me unless it is a knitted fabric that drapes, because this cotton is so stiff that I just don't know. I just don't know if it's gonna work. And I don't have any more fabric. I only have this. And I really don't want to chop this up and make a skirt that I end up hating, because this is the whole reason I wanted to sew this year, is to make nerd skirts. So I don't know, we'll see. Skirt number 1, I may try to wear this. I can't believe I cut this much fabric off of a skirt. I did buy some patterns because Joann's had a sale yesterday where their simplicity patterns were $1. $1, which normally they're from $10 to like $20 each, which is a lot of money. So I went and bought a few. Now, I had originally bought 2 ruffled skirt patterns. And then after I made that one from the tutorial online, I decided I didn't want a ruffled skirt, so I went to return them. I talked them into letting me return them. It would not have been a big deal because I only spent $1 each, so that would have been out $2. But if I had paid $20 each for those patterns and they wouldn't have let me return them, I would have been really upset. Now, apparently they have a policy of not taking back patterns because some people have cut up the patterns and then tried to return them. But not only did I not want the skirt patterns because they were ruffled, I also bought the wrong size. I just assumed that the sizing on skirt patterns would match sizing in real life. So if I'm like a 4 or a 6 women's, I'm a 6, let's be real, women's size, then I would be like a 6 on the pattern size. Nope, that is not how it works at all. If you are a 6, so let's say I have a 42-inch hip, that makes me a size 18 in this pattern. And the 2 patterns I had bought only went up to size like 12. So I was able to exchange them. They wouldn't take a return, but I was buying some other patterns, and I got someone who was quitting in like 3 days, and she was like, I don't care, what are they gonna do, fire me? So it was okay, because I would have only been out $2, but man, if I had spent $40 on those patterns and had the wrong size, and they wouldn't have let me return them, that would have been significant. So I spent $6. I got this pattern, which I'm going to make this one. I got this pattern because it's more fitted. Now I hate all those pockets, so I'm just gonna make this without pockets. This one, I don't really like this, but it has a very simple shaped skirt, which I think will look better in cotton fabric. So that's the one I'm planning on making. And then I bought some knit fabric shirt patterns, because if I'm gonna make skirts, I wanna make some neutral colored shirts to go with them. Of course, I will not be able to make these if I can't get the machine to work. So we'll see how that goes. Whew, that's all the sewing. I feel like that's a lot of sewing for 2 weeks. I'm in January. I've already made 2 bags and a skirt, although I'm not very happy with the skirt. I feel like that's pretty good on my crafty resolution to-do list. I do have some happy yarn mail to show you, which are 2 purchases. One was something that the commissions I did before Christmas enabled me to buy 2 things. The first one I already showed you because it was the Wool and Vine yarn. The second thing is some yarn from Molly Klein Design, and this is her card. She dyes yarn, and it's called Sweet Tea Yarns, and I have been following her since like day one. The minute she started dyeing yarn, I knew that I wanted some, and I just never have been able to get any. I signed up for a yarn club. I've never had a yarn club before, but she is doing a 3-month 90s boy band yarn club, which is amazing. So I purchased one. It was $65 for 3 skeins of yarn, 1 per month, which I think is very reasonable. And I got my first one in the mail this week. This is, here's our little tag, Sweet Tea Yarns. And then this is the Backstreet Boys black and blue yarn, 75/25 merino nylon. Look at this. It's beautiful. I'm so happy. I've never had a yarn club, and I really wanted her yarn, and I'm just so thrilled to be able to purchase this and support her business. And also, could it be any cooler than getting Backstreet Boys yarn? I don't think so. I never got to see them in concert, and it was one of my life goals, and I don't even know if I'm ever gonna make it, but I will be the 30-year-old at a Backstreet Boys concert. I mean, they're like 40 now. So that's yarn acquisition number 1. I can't wait until February when I get my next one. And then the other yarn acquisition is I have been in North Carolina Sunday through Thursday this week with my job, which I work at a church, and so we all went to North Carolina. We stayed on a mountain and in a cabin that someone owns who attends the church. So they let us stay there for a couple of days for free for our annual planning meeting. So we're trying to plan out the rest of the year and blah, blah, blah. So there's a little town. So the mountain is, I don't know what the mountain's called. The place is called Lake Toxaway. It's about an hour outside of Asheville, and in between, like right when you get off the mountain, which takes like a half an hour of windy roads, but once you're off the mountain, you're in this little town called Brevard, and there's a yarn store that I stumbled across, and then there were 8 of us, I dragged everyone inside. So it was just like a bunch of pastors in a yarn store, and then me squishing all the yarn. So it is called the Sun Dragon Art and Fiber Store. This is her card. And I bought one local skein of yarn from Daydream Dye Works, which she does have an Etsy shop. Oh, that's blowing out. It's etsy.com/Daydream Dye Works, and she is local to that yarn store, like so local that she goes in there and actually like knits on their knit nights, which is super cool. So this is 75/20 merino nylon, 5% gold stellina, and it is called Earthbound Misfit. And you can even see the sparkle on this yarn. The minute I saw it, I knew it was meant to be. So I'm really happy that I found a yarn store. Maybe next year when we go back for our next annual planning meeting, I will buy something else. I'm really happy to support a local business, a local yarn store, and a local dyer to a place that I visited. So I think that's awesome. One other thing that someone sent me is a lovely gift by Melissa, who is a viewer of this podcast. She sent me a handmade crochet hook holder. So you put your crochet hooks in, and then you fold it over, and you roll it up, and then there's a ribbon on the back to tie it up. So I don't have any hooks in it yet because I wanted to show you guys. And she sent me like the most lovely card, which was really nice. So thank you so much, Melissa. That was so thoughtful of you to send me something and to think of me. I really appreciate it. Moving on from Happy Yarn Mail, I do have something to show you that if you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen this already. People have asked me multiple times to make stitch markers for them, and generally I say no because I only do it when the mood strikes me. But recently I've had a couple of people put in orders, and I had made those, and so it put me in the beading mood. So the last week on Saturday, I spent several hours and I used up all of my beads and all of my wire and made a bunch of sets of stitch markers. So some of them have already been sold. I posted on Instagram and Facebook about it, and if you purchased your stitch markers already, I have mailed them out. They're on their way to you. But I do have some left, so I wanted to let you guys know that there are stitch markers available if you would like some. Now, this may be your only chance, and I'm not saying that to like create buzz. I just have used all of my beads and all of my yarn, so I'm not going to be making any more anytime soon. Probably for quite a while. So if you have wanted some stitch markers from me and I told you no before, that I wasn't making any because I didn't have any, or etc., or if you just like to own some, this is your probably the only chance for months that you will get. What I have is one set of crochet hook size stitch markers. So they have the letter of the crochet hook. That's a D. Here is, oops, that's an E. So they're all like this. They're hand beaded by me. These have like a sparkly blue bead, and then the letter size in the middle. So this set of hook size stitch markers, there are 10 of them plus one bonus stitch marker, and they go from sizes B all the way through K, maybe? There's 10. Anyways, there's one set of this left, and it's $20 plus $3 shipping. So that equates to $2 per stitch marker. And then I have 10 sets available of 5 stitch markers each, which are $10 plus $3 shipping, Although if you order more than one, then of course you only get charged one shipping fee. So let me just show you. Now these are all different. They're similar in color scheme, but I can't guarantee that you're going to get this exact set. So like here's two that are in a package. Oh, I'm dropping them. I should have put these on a string. Here's two more. And then the last one. So as you can see, these are mostly glass beads. They're all hand beaded by me. And here's another one. This one. So I can't guarantee which, if you order a set from me, I can't guarantee which 5 you will get, but I can promise that they're handmade by me. They're hand beaded, they're mostly glass beads, and they have this size clasp. So if you are interested, no pressure, you have to shoot me an email, thecozycottagecrochet@gmail.com. I only take PayPal, and I'd be happy to send you some stitch markers if you have wanted some and have not been able to get your hands on any. And then who knows when this will happen again, probably months and months and months, because I used up everything that I own for beading. So I have 10 sets of 5 available and 1 set of the crochet hook size stitch markers. As they sell, I will update in the down bar below so that you can just click down there and see what is still available. And as soon as they sell out, I will put it down in the down bar so that you don't waste your time sending an email. Moving on from that, whew, there's so much to talk about this episode. I have been tagged by a couple of people to do the 2018 Crochet Goals tag, which are a few questions, and forgive me if I look over here. I have it pulled up on my computer so that I can actually remember the questions. There's 9 questions. Question number 1, which of your current whips are you most excited about finishing? I am most excited about finishing the cardigan that I showed last week in that Lion Brand homespun. I cannot think of yarn names today. The Lion Brand, I think it's homespun. I believe it's the Habitat cardigan by Make and Do Crew. So I'm most excited about finishing that. I cannot wait to wear it, although I haven't touched it in 2 weeks. Question number 2, what project are you most excited about starting in 2018? Cardigans. I don't have a specific project in mind, but I want to make more cardigans. So I have 2 sweaters quantities of yarn still, and I would like to find patterns for them and go ahead and start making them so that I can have more wearables. Number 3, are there any new crochet stitches or techniques that you would like to learn? I don't know. I guess technique would be I want to release patterns. So that is a whole new adventure for me of going through and the math and editing and doing all of that. So that's exciting. That's something completely new. And I want to pick up my Tunisian crochet again because I learned how to do it at the end of last year. And then I have not been able to do any Tunisian projects because I have been drowning in commissions. So there is a Tunisian crochet sweater that I really want to make, and then there's also, I want to try some Tunisian color work. So those are my new techniques. Will you be participating in any CALs is question number 4. Yes. I don't know which ones. I've already participated in the One Skein Wonderland CAL. There's so many CALs going on right now. It's crazy. I simply cannot keep up. I will be hosting another CAL probably in March, I'm thinking. More details to come on that later. But yes, I do love CALs. As I participate in them, I will let you know. Question number 5, do you have any yarn goals for 2018? Nope. I know a lot of people want to reduce the size of their stash. I don't. I like my stash. It's not overly huge. I could probably fit all of the yarn that I own in 2 totes. It's all in a closet currently in bags to keep the dust off. So it's not arranged very beautifully. I guess the only yarn goal I have would be to take some of the yarns that I've gotten in the last 6 months specifically for patterns and actually designed the patterns for them. Number 6, which crochet projects would you like to see more of in 2018? Obviously, the answer to this is cardigan. I am a super fan of crochet cardigans, crochet sweaters, crochet wraps, cocoons, shrugs. I want to see all of that. More! And I'm really excited for the sweater pattern that Deanne from Addie Day Designs is putting out. It's currently being tested. I can't wait. I'm definitely going to make that. Number 7, shout out to a fellow crocheter you are excited to watch in 2018. All of them. I love the crochet podcasting community. I am excited to watch every single one. If I watch your videos, generally I try to comment at least a few times. Sometimes I am busy when I'm watching a video, and so it goes on to the next one before I've commented, but there are quite a few. So I've already mentioned the Hooked on Owls podcast, No Catchy Name, obviously the Crochet Circle, Crochet Luna, Crochet Cakes, Love Charlie. All of those are my jam. I'm super excited to watch those. And as I find new podcasts, you can believe I will share them with you, because I will. Number 8 is, are there any projects you made in 2017 that you would like to make again in 2018? And I don't think so. The only one that might be a possibility is the poncho pattern by Simone Francis, because I may make one for myself. But other than that, I don't think I need to make anything again. There's too many other things to make. Like, I want to make all the things that I haven't made yet. And then number 9 is tag someone. I think most people have done this already, but I am going to tag Clarisabeth from Crochet Cakes for Crochet Goals 2018. I know you talked about this a little bit on your last podcast that I watched yesterday, and I know you're moving, so this probably isn't a good time, but whenever you get around to it, if you get around to it, I would love to hear your crochet goals for 2018. The last thing I have to talk to you about is just a quick life update. I know this episode is getting a little bit long, so I'm going to speed through this and not keep you any longer. But as I mentioned before, I have been in North Carolina for most of this week. So from Sunday through Thursday morning, I really did not do any crochet or crafting at all. We worked pretty much from getting up in the morning until going to bed at night with a break for dinner. But we got so much done, and I'm really excited about the next year. It was cold. It was so cold up there, but it was beautiful to be on the mountain. There's like this huge waterfall and a dam, and it's just gorgeous up there. So I feel really lucky to have been able to go on that trip. I am still on my diet. I had an official weigh-in yesterday at my gym. I have lost 6 pounds total now, and a total of 3% body fat, which my goal in the 6 weeks is 5% body fat. So I have 3 weeks left, and I am more than halfway there. I really would like, it's a little frustrating because there's other people in the challenge that are losing weight faster. And I know you shouldn't compare yourself to other people. I'm just being honest. Like, as I was driving to the gym yesterday to do my weigh-in and work out, I was like, if I haven't lost any weight, like, I'm going straight to Taco Bell. Not to quit entirely and just say whatever to the diet, but just to like drown my sorrows, because I didn't feel like I was making any progress. But I have been making progress. I know, like 6 pounds in 4 weeks. I wish it was more than that, and I know other people are losing more than that, but my clothes do fit better already. And a change in your body fat percentage is actually a little more important than a change in your weight, because the more muscle you have, the smaller you will be. And I put on a pair of shorts yesterday. Now, they're not like my goal pants. I was too afraid to try them on, but I put on a pair of shorts that when I put them on in December were so tight, like I could hardly bend over, and they fit. They fit, and I could stick 2 fingers in the leg of my shorts and in my waistband. So I still have a little ways to go, obviously. I'm not giving up on this diet. I wanted to lose like 12 to 15 pounds total, which was my original goal for this challenge. I don't know that I'm gonna lose 12 pounds, but if I hit my 5% body fat reduction goal, then I think those pants will still fit. So I'm gonna keep going. I have not had, the only off-plan food I had is I had one French fry. Like the second week, I had 2 croutons, which tasted amazing because I really haven't had any bread except Ezekiel bread in a month now. I had 1 sip of Coke Zero just to try it. Ugh, hate it. And then last night, my husband got the new Taco Bell French fries, the $1 ones, just to try it, and I had 1 of those French fries. So for a month to have 2 French fries, 1 sip of soda, and 2 croutons, I feel like that's pretty fantastic. It's been harder some days than others, especially on Tuesday this week because I was so exhausted and everyone in the house was eating like a nacho cheese dip, which I shouldn't even eat cheese. It's gonna give me a stomachache, but it smelled so good. But I did not give in. So I'm gonna keep going. I'll keep updating you. Hopefully by the end of this, my pants will fit. Some other things that I've noticed, I haven't had like a ton more energy or anything like that, but I have, except for last night, well, really this morning at like 5 a.m., I woke up and my stomach was killing me. But in the last month, I haven't really had any stomach issues, which was a big part of my goal because my migraines were so bad and my stomach pain was so bad. I needed that to calm down after last semester, and it really has. I've had a few headaches, but not a full-blown migraine, which is a blessing, and no stomach aches for a month except for right now. And I don't know what's going on right now because other than that 1 French fry, which 1 French fry is not going to cause any problems. I didn't eat anything abnormal yesterday, so I don't know what's happening, but my stomach is really unhappy. But I think that's fantastic because once in a month I can deal with, as opposed to 2 or 3 times a week, my stomach killing me. So that is a drastic improvement in my life. So if you are doing any kind of a similar health challenge, let me know. I'd love to hear about it. Keep going. You can do it. I didn't put on 15 pounds in a month, and they're not going to come off in a month. I know that I really want an instant fix, but that's not how it works, is it? If I want to see a change in my body, I have to make a consistent change in my behavior. So I'm going to keep going, and hopefully by the end of this, I will hit my 5% body fat reduction goal. I think that's it. I know we have talked about a ton of stuff today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I love that you come to spend crafty time with me. I love connecting with you. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to be kept updated on when new videos are posted to this channel, do hit the subscribe button down below. And leave me a comment. Tell me what you're working on. I love to know what you're working on. I know a lot of you sent me crafty resolutions earlier in the last episode, and I would like to know how those are going. Have you made any progress? Tell me. I'd love to know. I'd love to cheer you on. So from me to you, happy crafting. Until next time, I will see you in 2 weeks. Bye.